My video for July the 12th, 2019 is video number 3144. The title is Justice Has No Meaning, According to Some. Last night, Wednesday, I was at the meeting with my friend Steve and our friends, and a book was discussed. It was a supposedly true story about a man and his sister. He lived a completely non-spiritual and riotous life, and he ended up dying early. Immediately, he spoke to his sister and told her what it was like on the other side, continuing contact with her for the first year after his death. The gist of the conversation that ensued in the group was that it did not matter what he did or did not do in his life. He went to heaven anyway. I held my peace in regard to how this affected me and said nothing until the meeting was over, when I expressed my concern with Steve and the lady who had introduced the book. For me, it meant that our concept of justice is nearly meaningless. Everyone ends up in the same place. Is that true? Or does what we do in this life actually have consequences on the other side? I was not intending to record this video now. It's already going on 4 a.m. And even though I put my previous video up at 1:11 a.m., I have not been able to fall back to sleep because this goes on in my mind. And when I went to bed last night, I also was unable to fall asleep for over an hour. And I got very little sleep, in other words. But my mind is going round and round and round and round. Now, just so that you know, my friend Steve is a magician. He's a professional magician. That's what he does for a living. And he's good at it. And he has been telling me for a long time that life is an illusion, that everything we see in the 3D reality is illusion. The real reality is on the other side. I've never completely bought into that. And first, when he did the Enneagram with me, he told me that I was a 9. Then he redid it and told me that I was a 1 with a 9 wing. Well, to me, 1 means you're a beginner. 9 means you've reached the end and you're at a completion. That's not necessarily how it would be described by those that teach the Enneagram, but it's what it meant to me. So I've always considered being told that I was a 1 and not a 9 to be a tremendous demotion spiritually. Although I have a friend that's part of another one of Steve's groups that meets on at a different day and place, and she's also a 1, and she and I do have an awful lot in common as we share in the discussion group. But in any case, as we were sharing last night, this concept came up that we all go to the same place. It doesn't matter what Jeffrey Epstein or any of the people that I've talked about in previous videos do. It doesn't matter how good or how wicked we choose to live our lives. When we die, we all go to the exact same place. Now, it was said in the discussion last night that we often, when we cross over to the other side, the first things that appear to us are things that meet the expectation that we had in life. Well, obviously, this gentleman did not have expectations of any life after at all. He did not live with the thought in mind that there is an afterlife, that there is an eternal soul, or whatever you want to call it. And in the discussion last night, he got to the place where he realized soul is even an illusion. We don't even have souls. We are just energy. That's all we are. is just energy spinning around in space. And we are able, through our conscious mind or subconscious mind, able to create the experiences that we are choosing to have in any given lifetime. But it's all just an illusion. None of it is actually real, because the 3D world, according, and this came out in the discussion also, the 3D world is mostly empty space. There is nothing tangible that exists, even though we can feel that we are solid. That's an illusion. People that have certain abilities or have had certain experiences have been able to walk through walls. How does that happen? Well, do I believe that that can happen? Yes, I do. I did bring up in the discussion last night the story of Anastasia, or Anastasia from Russia, Vladimir Megra's 9-volume set, although there was a 10th volume written. I never did read the 10th one. But in any case, I have the other 9, and people, when I did bring that up in the group, people want me to go and bring those in, and one lady wants to borrow them. Well, I've loaned books before, and they haven't come back to me. So I'm really leery about giving books, especially if it's a book that I find valuable. And I think the Anastasia books, to me, are the most valuable books on my shelf, including all the Bibles and Bible commentaries and concordances and things like that I have up there on the shelf behind me. So loaning out books is bad, but from my point of view. But Steve says you never loan anything; you always give it. You don't expect anything that you give out, you don't expect it back. Well, that's simply not the way it is. I mean, I loaned a friend a lot of money at one point to help pay a bill when she was unable to pay it, and she ended up paying most of it back, and there's only a little bit left to be paid back. She's still making an attempt to pay back what I had loaned. But in any case, I don't have the same concept of you don't loan things. You either give them or you don't give them, but you don't loan anything. Now, there are, of course, things that I've given away. I mean, I used to make it a practice to go and look for homeless people and talk to them and give them some money. If they, if I felt that they weren't just going to go and drink it. That's the bottom line, because I'm not into getting drunk and alcohol and drugs or anything like that. That's not my lifestyle, and it never has been my lifestyle. Although I did go through a period where I did drink, and I did get drunk on a few occasions. Not very many. Again, I've told some of that story in other videos. I'm not going to rehash it again here. But the thing is, I think there has to be justice. And I don't mean just us. I mean, the Creator has to somehow have a world where what we do or don't do has consequences. And the consequence isn't just to come back and keep repeating it over and over again. The consequence, according to this book, that everybody in the group seemed to be so excited about, it means that we all go to the same place. There is no judgment whatsoever. Therefore, there is no justice. And people that do awful things, that's just their experience in a lifetime, and it really doesn't mean anything because we all go back to the same place. Is that true? I wonder what kind of comments I'm going to get on this video. I am really, really troubled, which is why I had trouble falling asleep and why I couldn't get back to sleep after I posted my previous video. Anyway, thank you for listening, and namaste.